Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Suited Shootist. This one's going to be a little quicker episode this week. I'm kind of brushing up on my notes from the Dark Angel medical class, so that way I can get that AAR out and give you that summary of why I think it's such a worthwhile class to take. But what I wanted to talk about this week is something that I'd written on before, and it was a conversation that I was having yesterday as well, that I just want to do a quick video on. And it's the fact that I vehemently dislike the kind of the throwaway expression of dressing around the gun. And here's why. At best, it's an incomplete thought. At worst, what it communicates to people is what you're going to have to do to make this piece of life-saving equipment work is overhaul your way of living and your lifestyle, and now make the focal point this thing. I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, most of us are in agreement that if you are going to live an armed lifestyle, if you're going to choose that path, there are certainly lifestyle adjustments that need to be made, but realistically, a lot of those are active measures that any security-minded person would take, regardless of if they're carrying a gun or not. So if you have, for example, the quintessential kind of wide-eyed, complete novice that has no information of this at all, and you're speaking from this position of authority, to steal a line from Aaron Cowan, words mean things. And what those words mean, when you say dress around the gun, the word around implies that the gun is the focal point of all of these efforts. And if that's how you want to live your life, that's your business. But for me, and I forget where I heard this first, I wish I could give it the appropriate credit, but the gun is supposed to be an enabler, not a disabler. And so I want to make sure that I'm able to strike a balance between my defensive tools and the rest of my lifestyle, which is why I prefer the idea of dressing for the gun. And there are people out there that will argue that it's a semantic splitting of hairs, and that the only reason that I would harp on it is because it gives me something to say. Could be true, but I honestly think that there is a bit of a difference there, because what I found when I was first getting into all of this was a lot of the messages that were being put out communicated that unless you make this aggressive shift into carrying this very significant, tool set, then you're not taking it seriously, so why are you even bothering? And it was very discouraging, and it made it feel like my reality didn't matter, like somehow I was not significant, or that I was the only one with this set of problems. That ain't the case. Obviously, the people who carry guns professionally are at a different level. Anybody who has either professionally or morally determined that they are going to go and seek out confrontation where it's appropriate, they have assumed a higher risk threshold than a lot of us. So it's just one of those things where being aware of the language is really critical, especially given the fact that this whole environment has resulted in a new crop of brand new gun owners who, hopefully some, if not most of whom, will have their eyes opened and possibly be interested in pursuing further training, getting their carry licenses, and things like that. So just bear that in mind, whether you have been approached by a friend or a family member and they are coming to you for advice in terms of equipment selection or training, things like that. And honestly, even to a greater extent on social media, because especially in those platforms, the participants are not just the two or several people that are directly interacting. You have this digital arena of spectators that are all digesting not only the information that's being put out, but the dynamic with which it's being presented. And that's super critical, because I can have the absolute best information in the world, but if I'm presenting it like an unabashed douchebag, it's not going to be received by nearly as many people, and it makes folks more likely to write off the good information because it's coming from a less than appealing source. So again, just something to bear in mind, and let me know what your thoughts are on this. At some point, I'm going to do kind of a deeper dive as to the measures that I personally take when I'm dressing for a gun and dressing for a given occasion. Stuff that I've touched on kind of tangentially, but it's, if I could eliminate one phrase from the firearms community's collective lexicon, that would be it. Dress around the gun needs to die, because like I said, at best it is an incomplete and lazy thought. So I'd love to hear how you do it. I know what works for me. So far, I've been able to kind of help navigate some other folks in that same direction, but obviously everybody's circumstance is different. So in the comments, put your preferred methods. If there are any weird little tips, tricks, or hacks that you've got, spread them around. There's no point in keeping this shit secret. We're all here to help each other. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and gave me a thumbs up. Excuse me. If you're watching it on Instagram, same thing. Give us a like. And whatever platform you're watching this on, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So if you could like us all across the board, that would be amazing as well. I really appreciate all the support. And kind of Marvel post-credits style, here's a little Easter egg for you for the folks that have stuck through to the end of the video. We've got some really cool and exciting stuff. Why am I saying we? It's just me here. I'm literally talking to my phone. So I've got some really cool stuff coming up that I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but there have been some pretty cool little developments that are going to be coming up soon. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you all for the support so far. I really appreciate it. And let me know how I can help. Whatever questions you got, anything like that on any angle of this stuff, whether it's the training side, whether it's the style side, whether it's the meshing of the two, again, that's why I started this, is to help people kind of learn from my mistakes. So I hope everybody has a great week. Stay safe, and I will catch y'all next week.